Essentially, you see, yoga and the entire old Indian tradition, the Vedas and the Vedantas, they include all of world spirituality. They have something very, very inclusive about it. And therefore, they included very easily Buddhism, considering Buddha as an avatar of Vishnu. And they include very easily Christ. Because they do not, yoga doesn't assign, it doesn't limit itself into a rigid tradition. And therefore, Christ is another, let's say, a super avatar, because the other avatars, they are an incarnation of Vishnu. And Christ is an avatar of God. And once you have the advantage through yoga of having techniques, sublimation, subtle perceptions, meditations, you have all sorts of advantages of yoga, and then you combine it with this very simple Christian path, you go very fast. The old Christians, not having sublimation technique, meditation, concentration techniques, not having almost any techniques, just the prayer of the heart and hard austerities, it was a very long and painful process for them. But if you know of Kundalini, you know of all the other things, and then you put the ingredient of Christ there, and you support your practice of Christ through yoga and your practice of yoga through Christ, the path becomes very quick. And this is what makes Yogananda's path and our path in the Atman Federation so wonderful and efficient. No, they both show us how to live in the world. It's possible to get through yoga, and it's possible to get only through Christ. It's just different flavors, and they can be integrated. Ramakrishna, he says, look, when the mother has very small children and older children, and they have different digestion, she takes the fish and she makes one for one very soft fish, and for another one fried fish, and for another one like this and like that. So it's cooked. The path of God is cooked in different ways for different people. If you are very cerebral and you don't believe in anything, but you can focus, you can take a yoga of concentration. Rather, if you have not much there in your head, but you love and you have faith, then you take Bhakti Yoga, or you take the path of Christ. If you are very simple, you can follow this path. If you are very philosophical, you follow Jnana Yoga, and so forth. You're very much of action and service, then you follow Karma Yoga, and it's simply a temperament thing. They are not necessarily. You don't need yoga in Christ, and you like to know of the actual yoga tradition. Of course, you will do yoga inevitably. They also combine the prayer of the heart with the breath and the rhythm of the heart and so forth. But you can do Christianity as a standalone, and you can do yoga as a standalone. But it is much faster if you do it together in a coherent way.
And this is why also Greek offers this part of integral yoga, as he calls it, which integrates all these different traditions and things and so forth, because your soul will be touched by one of them, but also will profit by all of them. So it is wonderful to practice some hatha yoga to address your physical body and its needs, to practice some energetic things and so forth. But you will find something that your heart will simply burn for, and that will be your carrier somehow into the heart of God.
There are different manifestations. Again, there are humanified principles of God, which were not incarnated, except for Vishnu, as such. We don't know of an actual incarnation of Shiva or of Kali. So these forms, the form of time as Kali, the form of consciousness and of supreme masculinity, supreme sovereignty as Shiva, there are certain forms that God manifests again for human beings. If we were a planet of oxes, of bulls, if it was a race of bulls, Shiva would look like a bull and have a very different structure. But again, it is the same structure like Christ, that it presents an image. And behind that image is the universal energy. And the image is made humanized, so that through that image a human being can connect to universal consciousness, to universal time, to universal compassion, to universal love. Again, to quote Ramakrishna, he calls these like crystalline forms. They are eternal forms of God through which you can reach the formless ocean of God, the formless ocean of principles. So you can go in through the doorway of Christ to actually ate and drank like you, or you can go in through the gateway of Kali or of Shiva. And it will be a very different path, but working again on the same principles. It's another bridge between God and man.
And I very much suggest to all of you, but especially if you are very fascinated or maybe have some doubts or questions around how these different traditions fit together, read the life of Ramakrishna, the Gospel of Ramakrishna. There's also several books that simply describe his life, and there's a documentary also, no?
There's a short documentary. Yeah.
And the way, like especially if you get a little bit into the more detailed stories of his life, the way that he really managed to integrate all these different religions and become completely devoted to them and find the same reality in the end and enter through all these different gateways, it makes it sort of quite obvious how these things, they fit very well together, because from the beginning of all the beginnings, we were made in the image of our Father. And therefore, all the different ways that he manifests, all the different religions and paths and so forth that are authentic, they can be ignited within your heart and within your soul. And you can find liberation through all of them. And might even practice several of them next to one another in a beautiful way. And Ramakrishna is an amazing example of that. So I encourage you to listen to the Gospel of Ramakrishna. You have it on YouTube. You don't even have to read. Put it in your ear, you listen, and it's very, very inspiring.
Yes, best 60 hours of your life.
You just finished,
best
no?
60 hours. I still have the last 20 minutes. I'm reluctant to finish.
Come on, you can start again.
Yes, I can start again.
Book recommendation, there's The Yoga of Jesus by Yogananda, which gives a very wonderful merging of yoga and Jesus' message.
The Holy Science of his teacher Sri Yukteswar, who was asked by Babaji to write a book connecting these two traditions. We'll do a prayer of gratitude. Beloved God, thank you. I had nothing. You gave me life. You took care of me. You fed me. You kept my body functioning. You gave me food. You gave me shelter. You took care of me every day, even when I knew you not. Even when I didn't ask, you took care of me. And today you take care of me. And even I made so many mistakes, you take care of me. You care for me. You embrace me. Thank you for giving me a spiritual path and faith. Thank you for giving me spiritual friends, spiritual teachers. Thank you for all the teachings, teachers, and incarnations, for all the scriptures that guide our lives. My Lord, my beloved, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We can feel for a moment and become aware of the power of prayer. You can formulate your own wishes and gratitude in your heart towards God in the next moments. Simply pray with whatever words come in your heart, out loud or silently, in whatever language you like. Just take a moment between you and God. And you can softly finalize, feeling how God is already answering you right now, how every prayer is always answered, exactly precisely in the way needed. How your words already echo in God's heart.
Just as a final quote from Luke, I'll say the quote 3 times. He says very simply, "Fear not, little flock, because it is your Father's great pleasure to give you the kingdom. Fear not, little flock, because it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Fear not, little flock, because it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom."
Hey guys, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content on spirituality, Tantra and more.
And if you want to sign up for our online classes or for our retreats, you can see our website on the description below.